Over the past week or two, there's been a lot of drama happening in the WordPress world. In short, WordPress.org has a plugin repository where people can search for plugins, and all the WordPress websites use this plugin directory in order to find and install plugins on their website. And there's a lot of big companies or host companies that have built their entire business on WordPress. One of them is WP Engine, and the company that runs the WordPress plugin directory has cut off access to the WP Engine website. Now that's in a nutshell what's happened. There's a lot more to cover, and yes, it's real. I'm jumping into the drama for this one. I usually try to stay away from that, but it's real, it's happening. Let's dive in. So for some context, there's a company called Automatic. It basically owns and manages WordPress, which is an open source CMS. And the CEO and co-founder of Automatic and WordPress is Matt Mullenweg, or Photomat on Twitter. And on the other side, I already mentioned WP Engine, and WP Engine is a hosting company that provides hosting specifically for WordPress sites. Now there was a conference talk a week ago where Matt, the CEO of Automatic, had a talk, and his talk was all about investors and people contributing to the open source of WordPress. Now because a lot of the people use WordPress, and Automatic has infrastructure that basically allows WordPress to be run, like the plugin directory, the theme directory, and lots of different stuff, but they need money for this. So they take charity donations, and a lot of the companies that use WordPress and work with WordPress, they donate engineering hours. So they'll donate their employees' hours to contribute to WordPress. And that's basically how the open source WordPress is maintained. And WordPress was the original kind of blogging platform. That's how I learned to code, and that's why I wanted to cover this. But today, 43% of all websites on the internet still run on WordPress. That's a huge amount. There was a blog post on the WordPress news site where they're specifically calling out WP Engine and saying that people confuse WP Engine with WordPress, and that's how WP Engine makes all of their money. And by the way, they make $500 million in revenue using WordPress as their core business and providing tools around it. This all started calling out the WP Engine because they don't contribute a lot. In fact, they mentioned that WP Engine only contributes 40 hours per week, and compared to Automatic, they contribute almost 4,000 hours a week. So that's a huge difference number. Even though Automatic kind of manages WordPress, it's a huge difference in numbers. Even though Automatic manages WordPress, it's still a huge difference in numbers. And they also called WP Engine on modifying the WordPress because it's an open source code. You can change it and you can basically modify it and do your own thing on top of it. And WP Engine turned off some of the features from WordPress that they believe is making the website slower. And so Matt or the Automatic called them out on this, saying that they're not offering the full WordPress experience. In their words, WordPress is about the content, or the core of their values is the content, and that the content is secure. And WP Engine turned off the revisions feature of WordPress, essentially providing a WordPress solution that doesn't have that core value with it. And this is how all of that started. There's a few points here where Automatic, or Matt specifically, is calling out WP Engine, and they're trying to make a deal with WP Engine to get a trademark deal so that WP Engine can pay or contribute hours to WordPress and basically improve WordPress. They're calling them out on the years of not doing this, and I don't really know how much other companies donate or how much engineering hours they contribute, but they've called them out specifically. It feels like a targeted attack because there's loads of other different companies that have WP in their name, or they have built their whole business on top of WordPress and using everything that WordPress provides for their kind of benefit. Now this is all a bit confusing because Automatic also has a WordPress hosting company, WordPress.com, where they provide hosting for your WordPress sites, very similar to what WP Engine offers. But they also own the WordPress platform that provides the open source code so you can build your own WordPress website. And in that sense, WP Engine is a competitor and also a user of their service, which is a bit weird. But anyways, once this article was out on 21st of September, a few days later, WordPress.org banned WP Engine from using their plugin directory. But they tried to get WP Engine to make the trademark deal. WP Engine declined, so they took action and actually banned them from searching plugins. I think they have like 1.5 million websites, so there's a lot of users here that have been impacted. A big part of the community has been impacted. For me, that's a very kind of poor taste in the communication and how this was delivered. It feels like a threat, because if they block access to this, that's gonna have an impact on their business, because all of the users are now not gonna be able to use the WP Engine as they would like. This doesn't actually stop the websites from running, and you can also install plugins by dragging and dropping a zip file. It basically turns off one of the features that WordPress has, specifically for users that are on this hosting. And I've seen a lot of posts on Twitter that people are trying to get away from it, to moving their websites to different hosting or different CMS entirely, because this feud between the two companies is hurting them, like they're the collateral damage in this fight. So when you log into WordPress, you see a dashboard with WordPress news, and WP Engine apparently tried to hack WordPress again, so this is not shown for their users on their hosting, because they published an article with their name in the title, so they tried to hide that from their users. And while doing that, they apparently broke a lot of websites trying to do it. But the WordPress.org response was that they're gonna block access for all websites hosted on WP Engine to access the plugin directory. I mean, their quote is, "Why should WordPress.org provide these services to WP Engine for free, given their attack on us?" The response and the way that they've delivered it as well feels very much like an attack against one company. And I've seen an interview with the Primagen and Matt, who avoided a lot of the big questions and didn't really give any reason why this company was targeted. He was only saying that they've been in communication for a long time and they feel taken advantage of because they don't contribute back, they just make money off of WordPress. Once this happened, this had a big impact on the users that are using WP Engine and the WP Engine company itself. Obviously, because now the users are trying to get away, trying to make their websites work, a lot of the people move away from them. I mean, I would too if I was still working with WordPress and had websites on WP Engine. I would move away from there because I don't want the collateral damage between these in this war. But it's also a reminder that you are using someone else's platform, and as long as you do that, there's a chance that you might lose that platform. You might get caught in a fire between two big companies and lose your platform basically. So after the block from WordPress.org, the legal feud started. So the first thing that happened was, after the block, WP Engine sent a cease and desist letter to WordPress because they had a business impact with their decision to block people from using the plugins directory, and WordPress responded with a cease and desist of their own of using WP in their name. And I think because they can't really use the contributing fact and the other stuff that they care about, like changing WordPress and giving it to the users, they can't really use that in a lawsuit, but they can use the trademark. That's what they're going with. And actually, Matt said that on the Primagen. He said not contributing is not illegal, but using a trademark that's not yours is illegal. So that's how they're gonna try to get the deal done, or kind of pressure them into getting the deal done by sending a lawsuit for trademark infringement and pushing them into making a decision for that. Now, the trademark thing, WordPress, even like last month or a few days ago, on their website it says the abbreviation WP is not covered by the WordPress trademark, and you are free to use it in any way you see fit. But now that's changed and says it's still not covered by the WordPress trademark, but please don't use it to create confusion. Matt seems to think that people are confused that WP Engine is actually WordPress and people are using it because of that, and essentially infringing on the WordPress trademark. And specifically it calls out WP Engine here on the website now, which again, it's not, for me it's just bad taste. And there's another great tweet that I found of someone actually that's a contributor to WordPress, that he's calling out Matt on a few points, and basically the main sentiment is he actually is the WordPress community, the people that contribute to WordPress that are not employed by Automatic, and he's calling out Matt that this creates a big fear in the community and the contributing community basically, because they're now also caught in this war. And there's great points. I'm gonna leave this, you can read this for yourself. I'm gonna link all of my sources in the description. Matt also has history of kind of petty behavior in the past. I'm not saying that's what he's doing now, but that's also another story. Very public petty behavior in the past. Now here's my take on the few points. So I'm gonna go like point by point on all of these. I've worked with WordPress a lot of my career. I worked for agencies that make WordPress websites, maintain them, and basically provide value to their customers. And WordPress has always felt like an open source thing that you can basically do whatever you want with it. You can change the core of WordPress, but if you do, you can't update WordPress because then it will just be overridden. But you can also change a lot using plugins and hooks and actions and everything that WordPress offers to customize the WordPress experience for you or your client or whatever you do. And there's so many companies or marketing agencies that use WordPress as a tool to make websites that users can easily manage. But I don't think changing WordPress and providing a solution like that is actually wrong, because WordPress is open source. You can use it. There's licenses that basically outline what you can do with the code or whatnot. And as long as you don't break those licenses, then you're fine. The other thing about contributing to WordPress, now I do understand how this might be an issue and it's not fair or whatever, but we don't really know what the other companies contribute, how many hours they contribute to WordPress. And also Theo mentioned this, but because Automatic manages WordPress, they do also manage which features are going in and what the WordPress, the next release, is going to focus on. So they do indirectly limit what's being reviewed, what's being pulled in, what's being merged. And that makes sense. And it would make sense that they contribute 4,000 hours because they do manage the thing. So even though it's not fair that WP Engine that hasn't contributed, like Matt even said, there's no law about contributions. WordPress does have a post about the 5% for the future, but essentially talking about every company at certain level should contribute 5% to enable a good future for WordPress and the community basically. But I don't see this as a requirement. If it's a requirement, they can make it a requirement. They actually can make that a contractual requirement, but I think they can. But they haven't so far, so they can't really be mad if someone is not contributing. The one thing that I can understand is because WordPress.org and Automatic is managing all of the infrastructure about the plugin directory, theme directory, and everything that goes outside of WordPress. So they do have to manage all the calls from those 1.5 million WP Engine websites to their plugin directories, APIs, and all the infrastructure goes into that does cost a lot of money. So I would understand if they need donations or any way that they can basically keep this alive. And it wouldn't be fair if WP Engine is just using this, making money on top of it without basically contributing back. And the trademark thing, I don't think anyone confuses WP Engine with WordPress. I haven't so far in my career. I don't know anyone that has, and all the people that I see commenting on Twitter and Reddit do say that they don't confuse WP Engine. I'm not entirely sure how the trademark laws work, and obviously because I'm not a legal person, as long as WP Engine is not breaking the law, I think they're fine. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I'm curious to see the legal battles and how this is gonna go in the future. But if they actually make WP Engine pay because of the trademark, I think this is going to have a big impact across the community and everyone that's providing WordPress solutions from their business and using WordPress and WP in their business on their websites, because essentially they would be infringing trademarks too. WordPress also uses other stuff to build it. They use PHP as a language, and I've seen tweets like this where they say, imagine if PHP Foundation cut off WordPress because they didn't contribute enough back. Yeah, I don't really agree with that. One of the points that contributed made on Reddit, and that basically calling out Matt, is if they did actually want to make WP Engine do a deal or whatever, they could have done this over longer periods of time. They could have announced the cutting off access to WordPress plugin directory because their reasons. I mean, it's their tool, they can do that. They're allowed to do that. But doing it immediately without actually announcing it, or they did it in a way that they didn't care about collateral damage basically. This could have been done over a week, even more longer, ideally, but in that time people could have found other solutions how to do this. But yeah, it's not ideal. I don't think the delivery of this whole message is right. Like I said, some of the points I agree with from Matt, some of the points I agree with. I don't think they're fair. And again, also like using someone else's tool to build your whole business around is also very risky. It's putting all your eggs in one basket. Stuff like this can happen. There's power struggles in big companies, so it's a big risk going with this. They should have assessed this risk basically. Like I said, I'm curious to see how this plays out, and I'm curious to see what you think about videos like this. Hopefully I've covered this well. WordPress was a big thing in my career. I've worked on it basically for 10 years before I switched to JavaScript, so I wanted to cover it. And so that's been it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the day. Happy coding. Bye.